In a small town nestled in the countryside, there lived a man named Jonathan. He was well respected in his community, kind, hardworking, and deeply devoted to his faith. However, Jonathan had one great struggle: his temper. When things did not go as planned, he would become frustrated, raising his voice and letting anger dictate his actions. Though he always regretted it later, he found it difficult to change. One Sunday morning, after attending church, Jonathan approached Pastor Samuel. "Pastor," he said, "I try my best to be a good man, but my anger controls me. When my children misbehave, I shout. When my employees make mistakes, I lose patience. I pray, but I don't feel any different. What should I do?" Pastor Samuel smiled and gestured toward a nearby bench. "Jonathan, let me tell you a story. Many years ago, there was a farmer named Elias. He owned a beautiful vineyard where he worked tirelessly to cultivate the finest grapes. His land was fertile, and his harvests were always abundant. However, one season, a powerful storm struck, destroying much of his vineyard. Elias was devastated. He cried out to God, "Why have you allowed this to happen? I have worked so hard." Feeling defeated, Elias considered abandoning his farm. But the next morning, he remembered a passage from the Bible: "Be still and know that I am God." He took a deep breath and decided to trust in God's plan. Instead of reacting in anger or despair, he patiently began the long process of rebuilding his vineyard. As the months passed, something unexpected happened. Because the storm had uprooted the weaker vines, Elias was able to plant new ones that were even stronger. The soil, enriched by the rain, produced grapes of unparalleled quality. By the following harvest, his vineyard was more prosperous than ever. Elias realized that if he had given in to frustration, he would have abandoned his blessing. The storm, though painful, had paved the way for something greater. Pastor Samuel turned to Jonathan and said, "You see, anger is like that storm. It can destroy, but if you choose patience and faith, God can turn even the most frustrating situations into something good." Jonathan listened intently. "But how do I control my emotions in the moment?" "Pray before you react," the pastor advised. When Jesus was mocked, beaten, and crucified, he did not lash out. Instead, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." If Christ could show grace in his suffering, surely we can show patience in our daily struggles. That evening, Jonathan went home determined to change. When his son spilled juice on the table, his first instinct was to scold him. But he paused, took a deep breath, and said, "It's okay, let's clean it up together." His son looked up at him, surprised but grateful. As days turned into weeks, Jonathan found himself praying more and reacting less. His home became more peaceful, his relationships strengthened, and he felt a sense of inner calm he had never known before. One day, a friend who had noticed the change asked him, "Jonathan, you used to be quick to anger. How did you become so patient?" Jonathan smiled and said, "I learned that storms will come, but if I trust in God, they will always pass. The key is not to let the storm inside me be stronger than the one outside.